Red King, I'm sorry I ate all your corn on the cob, so please don't hit me with that rock.
Don't worry, little one, I'll protect you.
Thanks, Iron Man.
Wait, what?
Iron Man, I'm here to help you defeat Killer Croc.
What? Alright, just for starters, Iron Man's Marvel Comics, you're DC Comics. And second of all, I am Ultraman.
It's okay, Iron Man. We all want to be better than Superman, but changing your name to Ultra is not the way to go.
Okay, you're clearly not listening to me. I am Ultraman.
Oh, I see. You're just starting a secret identity. But seriously, Iron Man, back to the task. Killer Croc must be stopped.
Hey, welcome to Super Report Reviews. My name is Steve. Today we're going to go over the Ultraman SH Figuarts Ultraman Special Version. This is based off his iteration from the new manga series. If you guys haven't checked it out, it's freaking awesome. You guys should read it, especially if you're really into the original Ultraman. It's really cool that it actually ties into the original series, so if you guys really love that show, definitely give the manga a try. I recommend it for you. You can find them at most any place else up mangas, and the front cover for the first issue will look like this one. And this is the special version. There is another version of the Ultra Figuarts Ultraman here, but I decided I was going to wait on it because I hadn't read the manga. After I started reading the manga, I was going to pick it up, and then I seen that this little bad boy was coming out, so decided to pass on that one on the hopes that this one's going to be a slightly better version. And from what I've seen, this one pretty much just comes with different accessories, so you kind of need both of them anyways. So probably going to have to pick up the other one sometime in the near future. This one's actually pretty sweet. So hopefully this figure is awesome. So without further ado, for the packaging, love the front of this where it kind of has, from what it appears, this is definitely the figure inside the packaging. You can see the little joints here on the elbows and stuff. Is pretty much the telltale giveaway this is an action figure. But I think it's still really cool that they gave it the little gridded effect to give it that manga appearance. It's something that's really awesome, and I love the box for the front of this. And it's primarily black, a little bit of white. Ultraman Special Version, Ultra Act by Tamashii Bandai. Side of the packaging, get the Ultraman logo and more of his name. Top, just his name. Other side, more of the same. On the back of the packaging, just shows what Ultraman comes with his sweet Spectium blades, him kind of flying there, and without his helmet off, which is one of the reasons why I really wanted to get this one, and some stuff I can't understand, and some legal mumbo jumbo. So let's get this guy opened up out of his cardboard prison. Alright, so now that we got Ultraman opened up out of his cardboard prison, first we're going to go over his wide range of accessories, starting with his additional chest plate, which what this is a slightly smaller one than you get actually straight off Ultraman here. And it might be a little bit hard to tell, but it is a little smaller than what you get with the original plate here. Because you can see right there that some of the plating sticks out just ever so slightly. If we swap them out, which all you do is you just pull the chest plate straight out from the body. You'll notice there's two little pegs. There's 3 peg holes, but you only need to use 2 of them. Then you just line the pegs on the back of this up on Ultraman here. Pretty easy to do. This one's a little bit tighter than the one I had previously. And it's just there to give the arm here a little bit more range of motion so that you could use the Spectium Ray, or if you just want to have them in a little bit more tight dynamic posing for combat situations. For his next accessory, we have the Ultraman display stand here with Ultraman. We have the Ultraman logo, SSSP, Science Special Search Party. He has the same name as the man who has a number of miracles. Overall, really love this little display stand though. It's this really nice gloss red over top of it. Very reminiscent of what you see on like the cover of a lot of the mangas. Really cool. Back of it, not a whole lot going on other than some Bandai copyright information. And what this does is it helps to hold your Ultraman upright, which it comes with a articulated little stand, which it comes with these little clamps to hold onto your Ultraman, which are going to require assembly. So when you're putting these onto the stand, you're going to want to make sure that the bottom portion here, you'll see there's a little bit of access portion on the thicker part of the plastic. This part is going to go on top of that into the little peg hole here. And you just slide it in, and you're good to go. Ready to clamp some Ultraman figures. And when attaching it to the stand, you'll notice that there is 1 peg hole here. And there's also these additional ones here, which they have these little plastic inserts to cover it up. But you can use the stand to pop those out if you wanted to. So say if you wanted to use this part of the stand to hold up your Ultraman, you just use the arm right here, pop up the peg, you're good to go. Or if you have extra stands, you can set up like multiple little displays on just this one, which is really cool. And just so you guys, the stand does do a pretty good job at holding up Ultraman here. The only thing I notice is if you want him in more flying poses, you're going to have to clamp underneath the armor plating up here to really get to hold on, because whenever I try to do this at the waist, he just kind of starts sliding. So that doesn't seem like it's really working that well. And then if you just want to stand it normally, it doesn't really matter where the stand's sitting up. Still works really nice as a stand overall for the figure. And I do recommend using it, especially with the Speck Tiem blades. You know, I'm tipping over and randomly snapping those things. So really awesome. Really love this thing. And next, we'll go over his hands, which comes with a pair of fists for punching kaijus and other assortment of enemies. A pair of more relaxed hands with the index and the middle finger slightly extending outwards, which of the manga is used to more accurately represent his standard Ultraman pose. They also have these slightly more relaxed hands with more of the fingers extending outwards, which can also be used for his trademark Ultraman pose, or generally just for more dynamic action shots or grasping items. And then you got this grasping hand, which is used to primarily hold on to his helmet, because for his other accessory, another head sculpt, which is just him without his helmet on, which is cool because you actually get to see this in the manga, so it's really awesome what the figure comes with. Or if you just want an Ultraman in your collection just to not have the helmet on, then here you go. And how you get the new head sculpt on is removing this helmet. It's actually pretty easy on this figure, where you just want to go straight out from the neck. And you just pull back. Really easy to do. You notice there's a little ball joint up here. And then you're just going to want to line up the ball joint with the little hole on the undersection of the head, which on mine, a little hard to do because it's kind of stiff. Or I should say the hole that's trying to go into is kind of tiny and likes to bend the ball joint here a little bit. There we go. Felt it pop in. And now we have our Ultraman with his manga face, which now we can use the hand here to hold on to the helmets, which I think is cool, especially if you want to have Shinjiro fully revealed and holding on to his helmet. You can actually do that and have it displayed, which looks actually pretty sweet in my opinion. Gives them a little bit more variety compared to a lot of the other Ultraman figures out there. And I think it's just really cool. And then for his actual head sculpt details, which actually looks really nice. He has a slightly tan skin with some very anime-inspired eyes, but they do look really good. His mouth is in a little bit more of a frowning position, and his hair is definitely parting some ways. And it does block his eyesight a little bit, but it does give him a very nice appearance. And then coming all the way around where you can see all the details in his hair, very nice. Really like that they have each of the little strands sculpted too, or I could have seen them even on the top section here, just maybe keeping this flat in some areas. But then again, there's also this little seam line on the back here, which can be a little bit unsightly. And I just like that you can still see the undersection of the armor here too around his face, which is how you see it in the manga, so really glad that transitions very well on this figure here. And overall, just a great addition to the figure. And then we have what I'm going to call his Red Gauntlets, which what comes attached to the figure is you have the fully retract versions, which have a lot of very nice details on them. I really like the coloring on it too. Whereas the scum metal here, where this panel would separate when he wants to do the Spectium Ray, and then this part would retract back. And it looks really nice overall, and pretty much ripped straight from the manga. And then we have the Spectium Blade accessory, which pretty much the same gauntlet, except these little connectors are extending outwards from the gauntlet. You'll see here that the plastic plate is actually still resting in there, because that only separates for the Spectium Ray. And then you have the blade activated here, but then you have this added translucent blue whooshing effect. What you probably see this is to represent motion in the manga when he has the Spectium blades activated, is that the particles will spray out from the blades depending on the motion that he's moving. And it's really cool that this figure comes with this. And it's one of the primary reasons I got it, just because this looks freaking intimidating and imposing. And I really love that it's in more of a wave pattern, because it really helps to give it that like wind appearance, and that this weapon is actually in motion, which is really cool. And overall, the only thing I can really say as a complaint is I wish maybe it was a lighter blue. And even just grabbing the Spectium Ray here, maybe even just adding a little bit of a frosted effect to it, because under certain lighting, the blades show up very well. But as you can see, like when I have this upright for the backdrop, they get very dark very quick. So really love the coloring overall, but I think maybe if with a little bit added detail, these could have been a lot better. And then finally, we have the Spectium Ray Gauntlets, which you'll notice here, we don't have the gunmetal in the middle section right here, but you do have a little bit of a peg hole so that you can insert the Spectium ray into it. But you'll notice here that the bottom section here is a little bit more elongated. The metal piece here is sticking out farther by the wrist, which is the primary difference between these two gauntlets. And you'll notice that he does come with an extra one for his right arm, but primarily when he's doing the Spectium ray, he has it coming off of his left arm. So it's still cool that you get options, because I imagine both sides can do it. I just haven't really seen it in the mangas that I've read as of yet. So we're just going to primarily go over this one, but you can insert it into this one here as well. What you're going to do is just, there's a peg on the bottom of the Spectium ray, you just insert it into the forearm here. And one thing to point out too is on mine, these actually come off really easily, and I haven't really brought that up much yet. So just be a little bit careful when you're messing around with that, because with the weight of the Spectium ray on it, it tends to want to pop off. Like so. Alright, got it assembled. Ideally though, when you have the Spectium ray activated, you actually are generally going to be using the standard gauntlet, because they don't need to be both fully retracted for when he's doing his Spectium ray. And it's kind of hard on this figure to get them to connect at the wrist without having to be a little bit kind of cockeyed. Like you'll notice mine's coming in a little bit of an angle to try to get that to work. But still looks pretty sweet overall. Like I did a picture where I had a little bit more better pose, which I'll post now. And I gotta say the effect piece looks really, really awesome on this guy overall. Really like the... you can just stay off right now. Really like the frosted effect on the bottom section here. Then it goes from this very, very light white blue shade into the more darker translucent blue. Overall, it looks pretty sweet. It's not even like a super long accessory, but I really like how it still gives that effect that this thing is destructive on the end of it with all these jagged edges. And the exploding dark blue at the base of the ray looks really great overall. And I just love this accessory in general. And briefly just show you guys how to swap out the hands and the gauntlets. We'll start with the gauntlets here, which what you're going to want to do is on mine they're pretty loose, just like I explained before. So you pretty much just grab at the center of the gauntlets here. You're not going to want to grab it, especially here, because I'd be afraid of snapping these things eventually. But you just make sure you get a good grip on the gauntlets, and they pretty much just pull straight out. You just make sure you want to come in straight out. You'll notice that there's one ginormous kind of double peg there. You'll see right here where the peg's line into. Then you just grab your other gauntlet, line up the pegs, push it on. And that's pretty much it there. And then for his hands, when you're going to be wanting to take these off, you're just going to make sure you want to grab at the base of the wrist, and then you're just going to want to pull straight outwards from the forearm. So you just grab it, and a little bit's hard to do on this one. And then grabbing an extra hand, and you pretty much just do the opposite of what we just did, where you're going to want to push this in and apply pressure straight into the forearm. Then you just push down, you'll feel it pop in. And it's pretty simple to do on this figure here. And then for a closer look at Shinjiro's details, his head sculpt is really sweet on this guy. I really love the amount of details they got with a lot of the ingrained panel working for the lines. The paint job looks really great with the metallic silver on the front with some red here going across the top of the band and a little bit of red linings throughout the course of the details. On the back of his head, you get more of the red, but it's in a flat color where it's just pretty much just the red plastic here, but it looks really good. And what's really sweet too is they actually painted the eyes on here. It's really hard to see, but they are actually whites, which is pretty accurate for the manga. But it might have been nice to maybe see a little bit more black lining from the mask. Though I imagine it would be really, really hard to do that just because it's a small figure. So it still really works well for me, and it's just nice to actually see a little bit of detail in for the eyes anyways, because especially with it being all metal to begin with, I can see them glancing over that. Then moving down to his neck region, where you get a little bit of a different color scheme with the darker gray here, and then some more details on the base of his neck, which looks really nice too. For his chest piece, the primary thing here is you got the blue color indicator. I kind of wish he came with a red one though, even maybe with the smaller one. Maybe having that been the red indicator, so that, because usually you'd be doing that when he goes to do a Spectium ray. So it would have been pretty cool to maybe have that one on that chest piece. But still looks really nice where it's this translucent blue plastic. Looks really good. And he has a lot of decent detailing work here for his body. A lot of varying color schemes. Same with the side of his body here where you have that same dark gray that we've seen on the neck here. Back looks freaking gnarly though. Like with all these insane amount of detail back here. Kind of looks like a little face right there. Doesn't it? Sort of weird. And you got that little metal silver like mouth right here, like a little smiley face. It's super odd looking to say the least. But he's got his trademark spines here like you expect to see on an Ultraman. But it's done this a little bit more metallic armor setup because, again, kind of reminiscent of Iron Man for the most part here. It's just Ultraman in a suit of armor. But I freaking love it. And his entire body scheme is done in this metallic silver here with some red here for the base coloring for like on his arms, his chest, and parts of his legs. Now, we kind of already went over the gauntlets here and the hand sculpts, but they do look really nice. But I really do love on the arms here and even on the body, he does look very muscular. Like, the definition on him shows very well, which is something that's pretty cool to see on Ultraman, because even on the original one, he's kind of a lanky-looking individual. He can supposed to be able to throw kaijus around, but yet no real biceps to really speak of. Just kind of like a normal body-shaped individual. But then again, Bruce Lee wasn't the hugest guy. He was freaking jacked, and I imagine the suit isn't helping anything. And now it looks like I'm talking with the toy. Moving on. Then for his waist, you got this nice giant metallic red front piece, and then a red blading covering his tush. Then for his legs, he has the same metallic silver, same red what we see on the body here. Also has some knee pads, or knee plating, I guess I should say, which is pretty cool. So when Ultraman's on his knees, he's not going to get super sore, which is awesome. And his Ultraman boots, which are actually pretty sweet. The only thing that kind of sucks about these is they hinder the articulation because he doesn't really have a swivel. He just has a little bit of a forward and back motion. So it's really nice to see the plating here because you see it on the manga. But it might have been nice to maybe have that where it can shift upwards a little bit, maybe especially even in the back here too, so you get a little bit more of a backwards pivot. But the detailing still looks really nice too, where you get a little bit more of the little vents, I want to call them. Just a little bit of indents in the plating looks really cool. You see a little bit more of it on the back here. I even like too that even with the dark gray here, you get a little bit more details on here that kind of match the dark gray on the undersection of the plating here on the back portion of the thigh. This is just really nice attention to the detail on this figure. And overall, this figure looks gorgeous. Again, might have maybe like to see a little bit more panel lining, but that's just something I can maybe do in the meantime. Or if I do acquire another one of these guys, because I really don't like messing with my figures too much in terms of painting them. But the way it came out, I am super happy with that. And then for his articulation, head can look up about that far, down about that far, so pretty good range of motion. Something you want to be careful with though is the back plastic here on the bottom of the helmet and the top part of the neck piece can rub together, so you want to be a little bit careful there. And if you do shift it to the side, you can get his head looking up a little bit farther. And then his head can rotate side to side. A little bit of a pivot at the base of the neck and at the head as well. For his shoulders are actually pretty articulated here, where they can go up about that far, down about that far, can rotate in and outwards. It can also swivel on the inside of the shoulder here as well. But if you want him to kind of move around a little bit more posability, like you want the arm to bend in about that far, you're going to have to make sure that the joint is lined up because it's on a hinge there. So it's not as free as a ball joint, but you still get a lot of range of motion there. And he also has the rotation at the upper portion of the bicep, which is really cool. And that stupid little plating. So in his shoulder areas, he actually has still an insane amount of articulation, but the plate here, no matter what's going to get in the way a little bit, but it's to be expected, and it's a guy in an armored suit. And then at the elbows, on a double joint, so you can move in about that far, straighten it about yay far. And has a rotation here at the hand. It's technically on a ball joint, but you don't get a whole lot of swivel with it, but you do get a little bit of a wiggle. So nothing too crazy there. And then at the upper portion of his chest, you can rotate side to side. Just be careful when you're rotating it. Try to leave it upwards a little bit so it's not coming into contact with his abdomen region, scuffing the paint there. Because it's metallic silver, and usually that's the easiest thing on these figures to nick and damage. But can rotate side to side and shimmy a little bit left to right. Same with at the waist. Has a really nice wiggle and a pretty good forward and backwards bend. At his legs, can go outwards about yay far, so you can do the full splits. Come in about that far. And you can see here that the legs are on a, might be a little easier to see underneath. Definitely have the ugliest part of the figure here, Rangers. But what's cool is showing you guys this. It's on a hinge there, and then the ball joint's inside of the leg on the top portion of the thigh. So you can actually shimmy the leg up and down. So you can get a really nice wide range of motion, which is really good to see. Because you can bring it down here, and it gives them a really nice forward kick. And the same with a back kick too. It's not going to look the best, depending on how you want to pose it. But it's still nice that you get the option there for a lot of the articulation. Also has a swivel at the top portion of the thigh. It's a really nice double joint at the knee. And can straighten up about that far. And at his feet, can go forward about that far. Backwards about that far. It has a bend at the toes. And for some quick comparison, here are the Ultraman X Figuarts and Ultraman compared next to the Renewal Ultraman by Ultraman and Gridman, or who you may also know as Servos from Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad. And here he is, compared next to some SH Monsters figures with Gigan 2004 and Mechagodzilla 1993. And here's compared next to some NECA action figures with the 24-inch long Godzilla 2014 and the Hong Kong Bro Gypsy Danger from Pacific Rim. And here's the Ultra Ultraman Tiga and this Ultraman that I don't remember exactly what he's from. I haven't checked the markings. Let me know in the comment section. Give you guys a little bit of a treasure hunt. Find out who this is. So in the end, for the Ultra SH Figuarts Manga Ultraman special version, I actually think this figure is really, really sweet. Really love the accessories overall for this guy, even though the gauntlets tend to pop off on this guy a little bit too easily for my likings. But then again, it makes the gauntlets pretty easy to get off and on, back and forth, and I'd rather have them be really easy to get off than being super tight and scraping the paint. And this figure sculpt is awesome. The articulation is actually still really nice. Might have liked to see maybe a little bit better articulation in the arms, but for what the figure is and being an armor-plated Ultraman, it still works very well in the end. And I'd actually recommend this figure to you guys, especially if you're really into Ultraman and love the manga. This figure definitely is a really awesome representation of that character. Now, there is another version of this, like I said at the beginning of the video, that does actually run a little bit less money. So if you guys don't want to spend about $100 on this figure, there is a version of it that runs about $60, which comes with a little bit different accessories and not quite as many as this one did. But it still definitely gives you options. It still will look good in the end too. But if you got a little bit more money to fork out for this Ultraman, I definitely recommend picking up the special version. But what do you guys think? Do you guys own the Ultraman Figuarts Ultraman? Have you guys read the Ultraman manga, or is manga just not your thing? Please let us know in the comments. Look closer pictures of this guy on Facebook. You want to click the link in the description below and help us defeat those kaijus by hitting that like button. Subscribe, become a ranger today, and see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.